The rain poured down over the lonely countryside road, washing away the dust and leaving behind only the sound of thunder and the hum of nature. A black luxury car stood stranded in the mud. Inside, Sophia Lancaster, a millionaire businesswoman known for her cold attitude and diamond confidence, slammed her manicured hand on the steering wheel. Her phone had no signal. Her assistant was miles away. Her designer heels had never touched dirt before. Unbelievable, she muttered. Of all the places, why here? Through the rain, she noticed a faint glow, a small farmhouse in the distance, light flickering through the window. She sighed, grabbed her umbrella, and stepped out, her heels sinking into the mud with each step. The walk felt endless. Finally, she reached the farmhouse and knocked. The door creaked open, and a man appeared, rough hands, tanned skin, muddy boots, and kind eyes. He looked around 35, strong, quiet, the kind of man who worked hard but never complained. "Evenin', ma'am," he said with a gentle nod. "Car trouble?" Sophia hesitated, trying not to appear desperate. "Yes, it just stopped. Can you help?" The man smiled. "Sure can. Name's Eli Turner. Come on in, you're soaked." She stepped inside, instantly hit by the warmth of a small fire and the scent of wood smoke. The house was humble: wooden walls, an old rocking chair, and a single photograph of Eli with a little girl on his lap. She noticed how simple everything was, and how peaceful it felt. Eli grabbed his coat and tools. "Let's go see your car." They trudged through the mud again. Eli opened the hood, checked the engine with calm precision. Sophia shivered beside him, watching the rain fall across his broad shoulders. "Battery's dead," he said. "You'll need a jump start, but my truck's out in the barn." "I'll get it." When he returned with his old pickup, she couldn't help but smile. The thing looked like it belonged in a museum. "That's your truck?" she asked, half laughing. "Yup," he said, smiling. "She may look rough, but she's loyal. Can't say that about most folks these days." He hooked up the cables, started the car, and the engine roared back to life. Sophia sighed in relief. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, reaching into her purse. Eli shook his head. "You don't owe me a thing." Sophia frowned. "You helped me in the rain." "I insist." He smiled kindly. "I didn't help you for money. You were stuck. That's reason enough." It had been years since anyone had refused her money. She didn't know whether to be insulted or touched. "Thank you," she whispered. Before she could leave, thunder struck again, and her phone buzzed. "Bridge closed due to flooding." "You're not going anywhere tonight," Eli said. "Roads are washed out. You'd best stay here till mornin'." Sophia's eyes widened. "Stay here?" He nodded simply. "I'll sleep in the barn. You can have the house. It's dry, warm, and you look like you could use both." It was one of those evenings when heaven itself seemed to cry. The rain poured over the empty countryside road, thunder echoing far away, and in the middle of it all, a sleek black car stood still. Inside sat Sophia Lancaster, a woman whose name could open doors in any city in the world. A millionaire, a CEO, someone who believed she could control everything, except the storm. She slammed her hand against the steering wheel. Her phone had no signal, her assistant was hours away, and her heels were sinking deep into the mud. Far down the road, a small farmhouse light flickered through the dark rain. She hesitated, but pride doesn't fix engines. She grabbed her umbrella and started walking. Each step was heavier than the last, the rain soaking through her designer coat, mud clinging to her shoes. When she finally reached the house, she knocked. The door creaked open, and there stood Eli Turner, a man with rough hands and kind eyes, the kind of man who didn't need a suit to show his worth. "Evenin', ma'am," he said softly. "Car trouble?" Sophia nodded. "Yes, it just stopped. Can you help?" He smiled. "Sure can. Come on in. You're soaked." Inside, the warmth hit her instantly. The fire crackled, the smell of wood filled the air. Everything looked old but alive. On the wall hung a photo of Eli with a little girl, both smiling like the world couldn't touch them. Eli grabbed his coat and tools. "Let's go see what's wrong." They stepped back into the rain. Sophia watched as he opened the hood with calm skill. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. "Battery's dead. I can jump it for ya." She smiled faintly. "That'd be great." When the car roared back to life, she reached for her purse. "How much do I owe you?" Eli shook his head. "You don't owe me nothin'. You were stuck. That's enough reason." She frowned. "You helped me. I should pay." He smiled again. "Ma'am, not every good thing's for sale." That night, the bridge flooded, and Sophia had no choice but to stay at Eli's farmhouse. "I'll sleep in the barn," he said. You take the house. It's dry and warm. For once in her life, she didn't argue. As she sat by the fire, wrapped in a blanket he'd left her, she kept glancing at the photograph. Eli and his daughter, smiling bright. When she asked about the girl, his eyes darkened. She's not with me anymore, he whispered. Fever took her 3 winters ago. Sophia's chest tightened. I'm sorry, she said quietly. He nodded. You learn to keep going. Life don't stop, even when your heart does. In that moment, she saw something money could never buy, strength born from loss, kindness untouched by pain. The next morning, sunlight broke through the clouds. Eli had already made breakfast, eggs, bread, and black coffee. Sophia, used to fine dining and crystal plates, couldn't believe how good it tasted. When she left, she thanked him with a smile, a real one this time. And for weeks, that memory stayed in her heart. But life in the city has a way of swallowing goodness whole. Meetings, contracts, deadlines buried that quiet morning in the country, until fate decided otherwise. Months later, Sophia was driving the same road when she saw it, the old farmhouse. This time, there was a sign, for sale. Something in her chest sank. She parked and walked up the driveway. Eli was there, packing his tools into the back of his pickup. You're leaving? She asked. He nodded. Bank's talkin', it couldn't keep up with payments. Guess it's time to move on. Her throat went dry. This man, the one who gave her shelter, warmth, and humanity, was losing everything. And she, with all her millions, was just watching. That night, she couldn't sleep. His calm, his humility, his quiet acceptance haunted her. She had everything, yet somehow felt poor. And him, he had nothing, yet seemed rich in all the ways that mattered. 2 weeks later, Eli returned to the farm to pick up his last box. But something was different. The "for sale" sign was gone. A new one hung. Sold. He frowned. And then she appeared. Sophia, standing by her car, smiling softly. Morning, Eli. He blinked. You bought it? She nodded. Sort of. She handed him an envelope. Inside, the deed to the property. His name printed at the bottom. Paid in full. He looked at her, speechless. Ma'am, I don't understand. Her voice trembled. I didn't come to take your home. I came to return it. He shook his head. You don't owe me. Yes, I do, she said, tears glistening. Because once, when I had everything, I was empty. And a poor farmer, who had nothing, showed me what wealth really means. He looked down, overwhelmed. Then at least, stay for coffee. Sophia smiled. I'd love to. That day, they sat together under the wide country sky, 2 souls from different worlds, united by something purer than wealth or pride. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. For the first time in years, Sophia felt free. And Eli felt something he thought he'd lost forever, hope. She came looking for help and found humanity. He thought he'd lost everything but found a reason to believe again. Because sometimes, God doesn't send angels with wings. He sends a farmer in muddy boots and a millionaire lost in the rain, to remind us that kindness still exists. And on that old farmhouse porch, 2 hearts learned that the richest people aren't the ones with money, but the ones with love.